Admit it, you've thought about it. I have, especially after a rigorous workout. Maybe I'll just get liposuction. It would be so much easier. But what do we really know about it? Can it get rid of cellulite, stubborn belly fat, saddlebags, all the rest of it? Dr. Bill Johnson of Unevenness Medical is here to separate the fat from the fiction today. Good morning, Dr. Bill.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming in.
You
Appreciate
bet.
it. You do more than 200 liposuction cases a year, so I know you get a lot of the same questions. Let's just address a few that are probably very common. Why are there so many misconceptions about liposuction?
Well, I think one of the reasons there's so many is it's a very frequently done procedure. It and breast augmentation, or nip and tuck, is what's the most done in the United States each year. And so that leads to some misconceptions. And also a lot of prominent people get up and talk about, I had this mistake or that problem. And that's led to a perception of some problems that really don't exist.
We've heard a lot of horror stories about liposuction. Can you address some of that?
Well, you know, one of them was Kanye's West mother died a few years ago. And almost all, if you look at these stories, almost all of the problems that happen with that liposuction is involved, other procedures have also been involved. Kanye's mother had a facelift and breast augmentation at the same time. When you look at liposuction alone, done with the local anesthetic, like we do it in our office, there is yet to be a documented death from that in the United States, with several 100,000 cases having been done over the last 25 years. So it's a very safe procedure.
One of the things that people often want to know is, does liposuction result in a lot of rippling or unevenness?
Well, early on, this was a real problem, and here's a good example. And you can see she's got this from liposuction, and you can see from the front. And earlier tools were bad about this, and you also have to use good technique. But nowadays, most of the time, when you use good technique and modern tools, you really can do a good job with helping the rippling and preventing it.
This is something that I have read about. What about liposuction simply moving the fat around?
Oh, that concept is out there, and it's also another one that's false, because there have been several studies that look at it. About half the women that have liposuction will get an increase in their breast size. Other than along the bust line, there's no other area that increases measurably, even with large volume liposuction. So you are able successfully to eliminate fat from a selective area using liposuction, and it doesn't tend to come back.
And what about scarring? Is there scarring?
Well, early on, the scarring could be pretty bad. But nowadays, we use some techniques like this. This is to show we have a little ceramic port that we use on a lot of our cases that protects the wound as we're doing it. True story, when I wanted to show a wound for this segment, and my assistant Alan, that does most of my graphics for me, had trouble finding it. So I don't know if we'll be able to see this. But this is the wound, and that's a fairly typical scar for post-liposuction on the abdomen today.
Okay, so who's a good candidate for liposuction?
Well, anyone that has an area of fat that they don't like. So you can be heavy, you can be thin, but if you've got a saddlebag that you don't like, or a love handle, or a little pot belly that you don't like, all of those are good candidates. And the majority of time, if you're healthy, then we can do liposuction very safely in the office.
And what about recovery time?
Recovery nowadays is really pretty simple. We're doing this in the office under local anesthesia. There's some swelling and bruising, so if you're in a real physically active job, you may need a week or so. But most of us that work at a computer and aren't loading packages for a freight company, most of us can return to work in a day or two.
All right. Thank you so much for coming in. We appreciate the information. It's a common problem. You can learn more by logging on to innovationsmedical.com. You can also see more detailed segments on Dr. J off air on the website or YouTube. To set up a free consultation in Dallas, call 214-420-7970, or in Fort Worth, call 817-744-7901, and we'll be right back.